Hi, welcome to Jason Morgan Art. Today I'm going to show you how I painted this really detailed snake. It took 11 or 12 hours to complete. It was really in depth, took tons of layers, and it's probably going to be the last snake I'll ever paint. It's going to be for sale up until the 29th of May on eBay, and there's also going to be a 1-hour video on my site jasonmorgan.co.uk. So let's start painting. The drawing's already been transferred to the canvas and sealed with permanent pastel and pencil fixative, and here I'm blocking in an acrylic underpainting, which I'm doing much more detail than I normally would, but that's because this painting is really in depth with lots of different things. I've switched over to the oils now and also transferred my drawing back over the top. I'm painting in some of the areas around the scales, and that's keeping their position before I start building up the layers of the internal part of the scales. Working on the area of the background, and I tried to blur the background area a little bit as well. Here I'm blocking in the background with oil paint, which makes it much easier to blur before going back around the scales. Blocking in the face part with a nice opaque mix, and building up the scales towards the side. The eye, believe it or not, was the easiest to complete, and here I'm putting in the lines around the scales with a rigger before blocking in once again the central areas of the scales, and that helps to keep their position. As you can see, I'm usually going from a darker paint to a light, and that's quite typical with oils, working from dark to light, mainly because the paints are so opaque they layer very easily. Putting in the background body of the snake there, blurring it so it recedes in the painting before starting to add more layers to detail the head. This is about halfway through the painting, so I've probably spent about 4 hours on it at this stage. Building up the sheen on the hard scales, which really makes it come to life, before darkening over most of the body. And that's going to allow me now to actually build some highlights on top of it as well. Here I'm creating a red using alizarin crimson and other colours, and that's giving much more of a vibrant look to the scales, a much more rich look. This area at the back of the neck is reflecting the light, causing a sheen, so because it's a difficult area, I've put the reference photo section right by the painting so that I can glance straight across to it, get it as accurate as possible. Here I'm building up those layers again. I quite like the effect that it's got, so I'm working on surrounding layers now. And I've done the printout for the reference at life size, and that makes it easier once again to work from. Here I've really started to go to the smaller brushes now and start adding the details. Punching up the colours a bit as well using glazes, so I've thinned the oil paint down with walnut alkyd medium, and that's making it very transparent. Working again on that sheen. I'm still not quite happy with it, so I'm building a few more layers and also detailing around the scales, which is really starting to make them pop out in appearance now. There's going to be a 1-hour slowed down version of this painting on my website jasonmorgan.co.uk. Hope you've enjoyed it. And here's a view of the finished painting with all those millions of scales that took me about 11 hours to paint. Hope you've enjoyed my video. If so, you may like to subscribe, that way you'll never miss out on any of my new videos. There's also loads of tutorials, full-length videos, demonstrations over on my website jasonmorgan.co.uk. See you all again soon.